live again. Welcome back to Simon Says Wrestling. Obviously, I've missed a couple of episodes and haven't been uploading in a while because needed to move back home. Yeah, it's just some stuff in life that's just not going as it should. But we'll get back on the road, back to uploading on a weekly basis. But obviously, been keeping tabs on everything that's been happening in the WWE as of late, and I can pretty much say it's some dark times. It's some dark times. The fan base has been so divided. It has been so divided ever since the Royal Rumble happened. Obviously, a lot has happened ever since then, but we have an official 2025 winner for the 2025 Royal Rumble, and for the men's Royal Rumble, that is, which is Jey Uso. Personally, on my side, I don't have a problem with Jey Uso winning that Royal Rumble, because obviously it was unexpected. As much as people said it was predictable and had given the major superstars in that Royal Rumble the win, for the fact that creative took that route and totally just Triple H just took a span and hoed it into the works. It was an awesome Royal Rumble, and congratulations to Jey Uso on that win. Obviously, now we have main event Jey Uso. I think now is his time to obviously just get back on that horse and try getting his first singles championship, world heavyweight championship, that is. For Charlotte Flair to win the women's Royal Rumble, for me, that was a bit, it was a big question mark. Does she really need the Rumble win? Couldn't there been anyone else that could have won the Rumble except her? And yeah, I guess we just have to see going forward how all of this works out. Obviously, most of the WWE fans aren't happy with this decision, because obviously she got booed the following night when she tried to explain that she had a life-threatening injury, and it seemed like no one gave a flip and fly as to what was going on in her life. So it was an interesting promo to look, and obviously deep down I would have preferred it to be someone else except Charlotte Flair. I think she has about 14 world titles to her name. Winning the Royal Rumble at this point, she's already won it before. And what is the story going forward? Because at the moment, it's Rhea Ripley who is the Raw Women's Champion, and then we have Tiffany Stratton, who is the SmackDown Women's Champion. So who does she then go for? Obviously, she has history with Rhea Ripley, but I think with Rhea Ripley, we're more looking in the sides of her versus Io Sky at the WrestleMania. So it will be interesting. But they've already announced the match, that the Raw after the Elimination Chamber is where Io Sky will be getting a title shot against Rhea Ripley. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Honestly, I'm not one to be a negative fan. I just always watch the program with an open mind, but I feel that Charlotte Flair didn't need this win, but she got it either way. I think it adds more fuel to whatever she's gonna have going forward into the show. And it's a bit weird for the fact that at the end of the day, is she gonna go in as a heel, or is she gonna come in as a face? Because obviously with the crowd reacting the way they are to her, it's looking like we're gonna get heel vibes from her. But who does she go against? Who does she start beefing? Does she start going back to the old Charlotte Flair, who believes that everything that she has, she's worked for, and everyone is just jealous of her, which is what it sounded like after the whole promo on SmackDown. And I'm gonna watch it with an open mind. I'm gonna watch it as it obviously grows and time obviously happens with our way onto WrestleMania. It's gonna be interesting to see how it's gonna be taken. And at the moment, it's looking pretty bad. Jey Uso, on the other hand, is having the time of his life. It's great to see him go to the level that he is right now. And like I've said in previous videos before, he has one of the most over entrances in the WWE. He's one of the most over baby faces that we have in the company. And everything about him right now, whether it's the promo work, whether it's the in-ring work, it's just on top tier right now. And for the fact that he eliminated John Cena, obviously then puts a wrench into John Cena's plans for WrestleMania, But to be honest, I don't think this whole John Cena tour is working out how we as WWE fans might have pictured it, because it seems like we're just getting pay-per-view Cena. That's the only time we're ever gonna see John Cena, but it's still early in the year and it's hard to predict as to how much involvement he'll have going on forward to shows such as Raw and SmackDown, because at this point in time I don't think it's even clear as to which brand he belongs to. So it's gonna be interesting to see all of that. DIY retained the World Tag Team Champions in a best 2 out of 3 match. Obviously, the first pinfall I noticed was a tribute to how the Bar broke the New Day's streak, longest reigning tag team title streak, with a fake tag. Obviously, the Bar being the team of Sheamus and Cesaro, who was a WWE superstar at the time. We know, like, it was one of the greatest finishes to a match that we had seen, and it was a innovative and special way to get the titles from the New Day at that time. So seeing DIY obviously pay homage to that obviously meant a lot. They retained that title. Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens put on one of what I feel is might be top 5 ladder matches in WWE history. It was flipping brutal. What Kevin Owens went through and that whole ordeal, and what obviously Cody Rhodes went through in that whole ordeal, it was a it was a great match to end off a great feud. Um, Obviously now going out of the Rumble, we also had the women's Royal Rumble. Charlotte Flair won the men's Royal Rumble, which then Jey Uso won. Cody Rhodes retained, and obviously some big retains in the women's Royal Rumble, and obviously some in the men's Royal Rumble as well. It was great to see Alexa Bliss. Shout out to her. It had been rumored that she was in negotiation to come back with WWE, but apparently that deal had um, just fell through. But obviously, Wade Barrett threw shade at that we mustn't read the dead sheets and believe everything that we hear. She had a Fiend friend jacket on, which obviously meant a lot to us as Bray Wyatt fans, because it's still even a bit hard to even speak about the fact that he's passed away right now. But it was great to see Alexa paying homage to Bray Wyatt, who obviously continues to rest in peace. And at the end of the day, it was a solid Royal Rumble. Really enjoyed it. I personally enjoyed the fact that as much as we thought it would be predictable, it turned out not to be, which obviously Jey Uso won. No one, maybe a lot of Yeet people had Jey Uso on the cards, but personally I had Drew McIntyre, and I know a lot of people were gunning for CM Punk. And then obviously that leaves us with a whole lot of question marks, especially with the elimination of Drew McIntyre. I didn't really understand whether that was how it was supposed to happen or it was just a spot gone wrong. I don't know. But obviously at the end of the day, Drew didn't win and he wasn't even in the top 4, which then again for me as a Drew McIntyre fan starts to pull me to the side as what are we doing with Drew? But I have faith and I'll keep watching with a positive mindset towards that whole situation. Um Obviously Royal Rumble passed and we had Raw after that. Kevin Owens. It looked like Kevin Owens actually got out of ICU to come through and attack Sami Zayn. So I'm just wondering as to how much hate somebody has to have to get out of a hospital bed, bruised up, blue eye, limping on one leg, what it seemed like, just to pile drive your best friend. And then obviously, in this instance, Kevin Owens feeling the fact that he asked Sami Zayn to please be there for him if he ever needed him in the match to win that match. And obviously, Sami Zayn had never came out to help or even try to stop Cody from doing what he did, which obviously that rubbed Kevin Owens the wrong way. Also mentioned the fact that this was in a video that he actually uploaded on social media. The fact that he saw later that night how Sami Zayn came running out to try and help Roman Reigns. And that obviously pissed Kevin off and sent him over the edge, given the fact that he was trying to manipulate Sami into helping him. So the direction I think that we're taking now is obviously Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. It's been a feud that's been played over and over in a while on WWE TV, but the chemistry that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens having that ring. It's obviously fantastic and it should be for a banger match. And obviously, with the emotion that's vested in this whole match, obviously writes itself. The story writes itself with the story, with the match that they're going to be having. Drew McIntyre has been, for some reason, transferred. It's the transfer window. It's been transferred to SmackDown. So this means obviously new storylines, new opponents, but I feel like he's still gonna be absorbed back into the world of the bloodline. Personally, with me and the bloodline storyline at this point in time, at first I loved how everything was centered around Roman Reigns and the bloodline and how everything was working. But when it starts stemming out into other superstars, it starts becoming a bit tricky. It almost feels like the whole SmackDown is just a bloodline soap opera and everyone just wants blood. I don't understand why they don't just put it into the bloodline, solve the issues of the bloodline, and once that's been solved out, start excluding people away from the bloodline. The person that would benefit the most from the bloodline actually excluding themselves from him would be Cody Rhodes. Because whether Cody Rhodes likes it or not, or whether we as WWE fans like it or not, at some stage the bloodline became more important than what Cody Rhodes was trying to achieve with obviously everything that he had done after winning the title from Roman Reigns. At some point, the Ulafala became more relevant than his championship. We need to stem Cody Rhodes away from the bloodline and have him have his own story that he needs to focus on and obviously try and get over. With the Kevin Owens, I loved the perspective that they took, that okay, we have Kevin Owens who was a friend of Cody Rhodes, and obviously being friends with Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens felt betrayed with what Cody Rhodes did. We took that away from the bloodline. Still, there was a hint of bloodline. There was a hint of fact that we helped you take down this person, get him out of power, but now you helping him. And obviously, it was building its story on its own. I felt that Cody Rhodes needed to get away from the bloodline because it tends to overshadow him. It tends to overshadow what he's trying to achieve as the WWE champion. But it seems like once again he's getting dragged back into that story. With now obviously Solo Sokoa having made his long-awaited return after he had come back from losing the Ulafala, coming into the ring, keeping quiet and just walking out. It seems like we're dragging Cody Rhodes back into the bloodline story. The bloodline story at this point in time should be between Solo Sokoa, Roman Reigns, Tama Tonga, Tangaloa, Jacob Fatu, and The Rock, so that we can take Roman Reigns out of the picture of the Universal Championship for now. It's not going to be a permanent deal. So that we can have the dream match that everyone had dreamed of with the previous WrestleMania when they wanted Rock versus Roman. That match itself didn't need the title. Roman doesn't have the title this year. This would be the perfect time to utilize on that. This would be the perfect time to actually go into further that Solo Sikoa was actually sent by The Rock to take the Ulafala away from Roman Reigns when he has lost the WWE Championship, which then builds up a whole lot of questions as to how long has The Rock actually been in the background controlling everything. But it seems like that's not the angle that we're taking. Instead, we're gonna keep putting Cody Rhodes into the bloodline story. The bloodline at this point in time has one of the hottest monster heels that could be, not even could be, is actually one of the biggest monster heels in the WWE in Jacob Fatu. Let's rather get a story going between Jacob Fatu and obviously Solo Sokoa, which obviously betrayal. It's an easy story where you have I love you Solo, which tends to I hate you Solo because of everything that has transpired and with him losing power. But it seems, and it's not even a bad thing, the fact that they're trying to walk away from the whole fact that once the tribal chief has lost, his tribe turns against him and excommunicates him. It's actually a bloodline where Solo Sokoa seems like he still has the support of his tribe. And obviously, we're gonna have to then get to a point where Jacob Fatu meets with Solo, build a story into where we say who's gonna be the rightful next person to challenge for the Universal Championship, so that they can try and bring pride back to the family. Cody is being dragged once again into the whole bloodline story, and I'm just so over the fact that Cody Rhodes still needs the bloodline to be relevant in 2025. His title itself, him being the champion for as long as he has been, he needs to start standing out, or otherwise he's just gonna fall into the cracks of the bloodline. And day by day, Jacob is growing as a superstar. His promos are flipping awesome. At this point in time, people are gonna be paying more money to look at Jacob Fatu than they are to look at Cody Rhodes. Because at the end of the day, Jacob Fatu is in fifth gear. Like he says, he's all pedal, no brakes. And I just don't like the fact that Cody Rhodes is still being dragged into this whole bloodline story. And obviously, it's a whole conversation that we can have the whole night about how he should be managed into making the title, and then obviously being the leader of the bloodline, and how would that affect Solo and his position in the bloodline. So at this point in time, it's just a whole bit of confusion. But like I said, as a guy who has faith in Triple H and what Triple H is able to do with the brand, and then what he can do with stories and people, I'm just having that hope that at some point they just cut out Cody out of the bloodline story, let the bloodline story run by itself, and obviously Cody Rhodes run by himself. And at this point in time, we also have Logan Paul, who seemingly has joined as a full-time superstar. So that's gonna be interesting to see. He recently just had his match with Rey Mysterio, and obviously it's Logan Paul. He's obviously gonna have a great match, and he put on quite the show. And with him having actually eliminated CM Punk from the Rumble, is there a story there? Is there something that we need to look forward to there? And it's just interesting to see that Logan Paul is growing as a superstar. His in-ring ability is, for me, unmatched for someone who hasn't been a full-time WWE athlete. Obviously, he has gone to the performance center and gotten tips from a lot of well-experienced individual, and it shows. And being in the ring with people like Rey Mysterio actually makes him very, very good, and makes him look very good. As so I'm looking forward to having him as a constant face on television, so that I can actually start to get into what his character is. Yes, he is a heel, and yes, he's one of those people that are so over that they get booed and can't even deliver a promo on the mic. But I need to see more of Logan Paul. I need to see more of him, and I feel this is the perfect time. Oh, and big shout out to it's not even a big shout out. It's just so much. It brought me so much joy. I know it's evil. I know it's bad, and I shouldn't be wishing this on people. But what Braun Breaker did to I Show Speed was so brutal. It was brutal to watch, and the fact that I Show Speed could take that sort of bump. I don't know whether he was briefed about that bump and how he was gonna be able to take that kind of bump. But what Braun Breaker did to it, almost broke the guy in flip in half. And I still look at the video today, and I'm still shocked as to how he's still standing till this day. So shout out to him. Obviously, Kaisernet was also at the Royal Rumble streaming live from the event. And it's just, like I said, they're introducing mainstream celebrities to bring in a bigger crowd. And I loved how they handled the whole situation of having um, a streamer in the Rumble, and how Braun Breaker just like instantly brought him into the world of WWE. It was something I hadn't written in my notes. I just remembered it now because we were just talking about the Rumble. So at the end of the day, Logan Paul is a great addition. He's always been a great addition to the roster. The one thing that I would love to see, like personally for WrestleMania, would be Logan Paul versus Bad Bunny. That would make such an awesome match, because obviously Bad Bunny had a recent, I think he was on Hot Wings or something like that, and he was then told that he was one of the best guest superstar wrestlers, and he said something along the lines that he is, and that is a fact. So obviously I would love to see Logan Paul versus Bad Bunny, as in sort of like a celebrity fan attraction sort of match at WrestleMania. It would be flipping awesome to see that. Um, the other thing that I've noticed is that we've got I don't know whether it's a problem, and I've mentioned this before, but seems like John Cena isn't gonna be appearing on as much shows as we thought, because my understanding of him having a farewell tour was for him to actually be present, like be vocal about what he wants to do. But it seems like he only shows up on certain times and at certain, obviously, pay-per-views. Seems like it's pay-per-view John at this point in time, and it's getting a bit confusing as to what the story is going forward, given the fact that he's just been given a spot in the elimination chamber and the other guys have to qualify for it, which is a bit weird for me. And I honestly can't wrap my head around the whole farewell tour, but yet we're not putting in that work to get Cena on TV and obviously cutting promos or involved in some sort of storyline, which then I start to feel like this road to WrestleMania for Cena is not gonna be as wow as we all thought it would be, because this perception of the story going into a state where Cena comes into the Royal Rumble, says he will win it. Obviously, he can't win the Royal Rumble. Jey Uso won it. Then we can get a phase where John Cena starts to spiral out of control, sort of like what Shawn Michaels did in order to get the Undertaker back at WrestleMania. But he gave us that emotion that he was in shock, but we haven't heard from what Cena's next plan going forward is going to be, which leaves us WWE fans in the question marks, and we just want to find out, okay, next thing, the Elimination Chamber is announced and Cena's in the match, and we're like, oh, okay, cool, it's John Cena, I guess. What happens when he loses the Elimination Chamber? What happens when after that, is he gonna be more present in the show trying to get a spot, or is he just gonna be given another spot going forward? It's a bit tricky given the fact that there is no storyline behind what John Cena. Maybe there is, we just haven't been introduced or let known about the whole storyline behind what's going on with John Cena. Is the tour still on, or is it something that we just gonna have to then sit back and watch and, I don't know, wait a couple of more months before it kicks in, which is a bit weird because, come to think of it, I think now WrestleMania is less than 2 months away from now, because now it's February, so obviously we're gonna go through March and then April. What's the story? What are we gonna be cooking for that next 2 months for John Cena? It's a bit weird to watch, and then it's a bit of a letdown so far. I won't even lie. It's been confirmed that Jey Uso is going after the World Heavyweight Championship, which is Gunther, and I I'd say there's a story behind that, for the fact that he had failed to capture the title the night before the Rumble, but it's a match that he lost clean. It's something that's maybe been bugging at him, and he just wants to get that bug and itch out of him, and believing that he can beat Gunther. So I'm not even angry at the fact that he wants to go for Gunther, but I would have been more excited if he was going after Cody Rhodes. Yes, this contradicts the whole thing of keeping keeping Cody Rhodes out of the bloodline story. But keep in mind, Jey Uso is no longer part of the bloodline. He used to be a part of the bloodline, but now he has earned his shot and has established himself away from the bloodline. So it would have been great to see a friendly rivalry. And we haven't actually seen a babyface versus babyface for the championship in a long time. It would have been interesting to see how that was all going to work out. But clearly there's different plans for Cody Rhodes going into WrestleMania. And hopefully we can get Cody Rhodes an opponent who is worthy. And obviously baby has a story, because obviously some of our fantasy cards for WrestleMania 41 was for Cody Rhodes to face against Randy Orton, with Randy Orton coming back as a heel. But then again, we also had Randy Orton versus John Cena, which then it looks like that's not even gonna happen. So going into WrestleMania at this point in time, a lot of us don't have the direction. We have speculations as to what might happen, but we don't have the direction as to what path we're actually taking in this one. And Jey Uso obviously having picked Gunther, so we have one confirmed match. Okay, we know that Gunther is gonna go one-on-one with Jey Uso, and it's gonna be for the World Heavyweight Championship. We also have a lot of other titles that we don't know how or who's gonna start facing. those title holders going into that. So obviously it's gonna build more. We still have 2 months and we can still build some sort of story around that. I just hope that the story is not as rushed or isn't as changed badly as the ones that we had from last year's WrestleMania, where WWE had to pivot away from a whole lot of stuff. I just want the planning to go smoothly, like I've said before. Go smoothly, stick to the plan, stick to the game plan, have the matches that you're supposed to have. And it's hard not to read what's going on online and start basing it off of the storylines that you read and the storylines that you see on TV. But it seems like already, from my point of view, there's a lot of disconnect going into the WD, and there's literally just no direction as to where we're going, and it worries me on a daily as to how are we then gonna make this WrestleMania bigger than what we had last year. Um, who is Charlotte Flair gonna choose? Um, who would be more of an attraction? Would it be Charlotte versus Tiffy, or would it be Charlotte versus Rhea? We know that she's definitely not gonna go for the NXT championship. She's done that before, but with Charlotte, we never actually know. Rhea doesn't even want to face Charlotte because obviously with her having won the Royal Rumble, Rhea Ripley had a snide comment which says, "Oh no, you can have this one." So it's a bit weird to see the reception to everything that's happening around Charlotte. At some point in time, it is deserved for the fact that she's getting booed, and obviously we all have questions as to why is she getting this title again. Who's Cody Rhodes gonna face at WrestleMania? Is Randy Orton gonna be back for WrestleMania? Randy's just been missing in action. Sami Zayn just took a power driver. Obviously, we can confirm that Sami Zayn might be going on one-on-one with Kevin Owens. At this point in time, there's just so many questions in the air, and hopefully with the shows going forward before Mania we can get answers, or hopefully just before, after Elimination Chamber, we can at least know who's facing who and what feud are we then focusing on. Sadly enough, I think it was about a week or 2 weeks ago, WWE made its released a couple of superstars, and with these releases, a lot of things might change. Most of the WWE superstars that were released haven't been on TV in a while. The one that stands out the most would be Giovanni. Giovanni was excommunicated from Imperium by Ludwig Kaiser. From there, I believe that they would have had a story, but it seems now he's been taken out of WWE, released. Sonya Deville was also released. The Good Brothers were also released, to mention a few. So obviously, some of them hadn't been on WWE TV for a while now. But what effect does that have on the roster that we still have now? And obviously, it is a big deal because people just lost their livelihoods. Many of them don't know what the way forward is, and personally, I just wish them all the best, and hopefully they can still continue doing what they love to do, which is being pro wrestlers. And it's just, what is the mood backstage? How is everyone else feeling about everything that's going on? What is the plan? What are we doing going into Mania? These are the questions that. What are the matches? What are the cards? It's always nice to have this level of curiosity and questions around everything that's happening, but it's also very uncomfortable given the fact that sometimes simplicity is the best answer to everything. But now, since the win with Jey Uso, I believe that there's I wouldn't say it is anticipation, but everyone is just asking themselves, what's next? What is this champion doing? What is that champion doing? What is this match? What is that match going to be? And obviously creates a lot of buzz around the WrestleMania. So it's a great business move, but it's a very nervy one for us WWE fans. I won't even lie, it's been the most unpredictable that I've seen in a while now. That everything that happens and shows up on the TV screen, I'm like, okay, we have something here, but how is this gonna work? Which obviously gets you more interested and hooked into the brand. So it's great to see that. Obviously we're gonna have the women's um Elimination Chamber as well. But the other thing that I picked up from the females, the women's Royal Rumble match is there was no Jade Cargill. So it gets a bit tricky as well as to as to do we even know who attacked Jade Cargill at this point in time? Is everyone still interested in that story? Is the story still gonna blow up? Because obviously with the Elimination Chamber coming through, we have Liv Morgan, Alexa Bliss, and obviously the women's tag team champions, which is Bianca Belair and Naomi, which have who have qualified for this match. And it's going to be interesting to see how the dynamic works. I thought that Royal Rumble would be the perfect time to start showing cracks in the team, and obviously with Jade Cargill maybe coming out to then stir the pot and then start the feud going into WrestleMania. But at this point in time, with how things are so unpredictable, I wouldn't be surprised if Jade Cargill came back and said, you know what, the person that attacked me was actually Bianca Belair, not Naomi, because we've always believed that it was Naomi, given the fact that she has looked at Bianca Belair in a certain way and obviously has a whole lot of pent up frustration as to maybe being the second option to begin with. And then obviously with the tag team titles that she has had so much history with. Remember when she walked out of WWE with the administration that was in charge, there was a whole lot of backstory drama about that whole. You can just go back and read back on it and see what happened. So it would have been great to see those cracks start showing at Royal Rumble, but I guess they didn't, and we don't know when Jade Cargill will actually be coming back to explain her side of the story. Might be after the chamber, might be before the chamber. We just don't know at this point in time. It's a bit tricky, and as a WWE fan, we're in a very unpredictable and very fast-paced section of this um the program. Going into Mania, we normally at this time of the year know who's gonna face who for what, and then what the feud and story going into this whole thing is gonna be. But for now, it's very unpredictable. I don't even know what's next for Drew McIntyre, because now all of a sudden he's a new man. I don't believe it, but for the fact that he could let whatever was being said to him on SmackDown, it's a development of a new character, or it could just be Drew McIntyre trolling us all into a ride. That's what I'm saying. It's become so unpredictable, but yet so exciting at the same time. It gives you that sort of nervousness going forward as to what's gonna happen. Not knowing what's gonna happen, what's what makes it interesting at this point in time, but makes it very uneasy to then watch the product. I won't be uploading as much as I would like. I will try to upload as much as I possibly can, but just with your guys' perception, which matches would you then book for WrestleMania? Who would you book who against? Just comment in the section. Just let me know who you feel you would match up against who, and where are all these guys? Are there any people who've been following up on John Cena, on Randy Orton, just to find out when will they be back? Jade Cargill, what's gonna happen? What's next for Rhea Ripley? What's next for Tiffany? What's next for Shinsuke Nakamura? I haven't seen Shinsuke in so flipping long. Sometimes I even forget that he's in the United States champion. It's just so weird right now, and it's just unpredictable, exciting, like I said, but also at the same time very uneasy as to how big is this WrestleMania gonna be. It's probably gonna be big, but how big is it gonna be? Is it gonna be able to top the two previous ones that we had right now, or is it just gonna be a bigger flop? Or I wouldn't say a flop, because obviously WrestleMania tends to deliver in its own special way. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Guys, just like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts. Just tell me what you would like to see in WrestleMania, and are there any predictions that you have going out of WrestleMania or out of the Elimination Chamber, which is obviously the first event that we're gonna be having before WrestleMania? Just let me know. Obviously, how do you feel about the Jey Uso win? How do you feel about Charlotte? And just let's interact in the comment section. Obviously, the link to my X profile is in the pinned description. Have yourself a lovely one, and as always, peace.